Good afternoon and welcome. Let's wait a bit for a couple of people to arrive, and then we'll get going.
A few bits that we're going to announce today that maybe you've probably already been aware of, and then obviously, as you know, any questions that you might have, then please do message them in on the Facebook chat and we'll go through them as we go along. Any bits that you want clarified, we can go through those bits as well. So we'll probably just wait a couple more seconds and then we'll probably start. Have a sip of tea before I dry up. Are we nearly ready to start?
We're ready to start. I'm just sharing it to another page as a watch party so more people can find us.
Rightio. So I hope we've got some people watching. Maybe someone can say hi so I know that we're all actually there. And I know that we're here.
People are starting to arrive. Good, we can get going.
Brilliant. So great. So we're around. That's fantastic. So we're just going to go through a couple of bits then. So any questions that you might have, then please.
There we go.
Brilliant. So we're going to go through some things. One of the questions that I've had come up a couple of times actually is regarding the
furloughing. The word that Chantal, as you found out yesterday, can't say.
I can't say it.
It's furlough, or furlough as in putting your workers onto not working hours.
Right, yes. So your employees on furlough, and I just need to confirm a couple of things. A lot of people have actually asked if your employee is on furlough and the government has said they're going to be paying 80%. Well, we believe that the 80% is actually going to include the employer's national insurance and the employer's auto-enrolment contribution as well.
The workplace pensions.
The workplace pensions, yes. So that's the extra 13.8% of employer's national insurance and also the extra 3% of workplace pensions payable by the employer. So that is included in the 2,500 ceiling or in the 80% of the gross amount. So just so that you're aware, as an employee, you probably won't be receiving, if your salary is more than the 2.5 as an 80% or even as an 80%, you're not actually going to be receiving 80% of your gross pay because that is going to be part of the employer's NIC as well. So just so that you are aware of that, so you're not expecting more than what you should get. As an employer, if you are going to furlough any of your employees, I'm going to just call it the F word. If you are going to, then what you need to do is actually get it in writing from them because it is a change of their contract. So you do actually need to have an agreement between you, the employer and the employee that you're both party and you're both happy to do this. So you just need that document signed by both parties that you are happy for this to take place, so to say, really.
I think in the current climate, it is in everyone's interest that they will agree to it because the other
it's just ticking a box really and getting it done. Yeah, so, exactly. So from an employee's point of view, I don't see a problem in then signing, but from an employer's point of view, you might as well just get it done, really.
Yeah.
So that's that thing. So there's a job retention scheme, the furloughing basically. The period of time in which they're going to assess it, in which they're going to be basing it on, because of those on 0-hour contracts and hourly contracts, we haven't had confirmed yet, even though there is huge speculation that it will be over the previous 3 months or 12 weeks. But we haven't had that confirmed yet. We are waiting to have that confirmed. Just to confirm, is it currently in place for 3 months? So that is the March pay, the April pay and the May pay. So if you do need to go back, you can go back to 1st of March for that. So it is your March, April and May pay as well. These are grants, so therefore they're not repayable to the company, to the government, and they are fully tax-free to the individuals. I've got a question here. Does it apply to the directors? Yes, it does. It does apply to directors as well. They have said that it so far as we're aware, they have confirmed that the directors are being assessed as employees and not as self-employed people. And if you are going to furlough a director, then it will be based on the director's salary that you need to look at there.
We are waiting for some further announcements on contractors, though, aren't we? And that might come in with the self-employed stuff.
Yeah, but contractors.
A lot of our directors are on a lower salary, and they take dividends as well.
Yes, but the dividend, so we're sort of waiting for confirmation on that. But directors' salaries are covered under the furlough scheme, believe it. So that, I believe, covers all of those ones. The statutory sick pay costs. So the statutory sick pay costs are currently for businesses with less than 250 employees. So majority of the people I'm probably hopefully speaking to. And these will be actually refunded to you, to HMRC. So normally the first 3 days, as I've said yesterday, does not apply to statutory sick pay. However, going forwards, if it's a corona or a COVID-19 statutory sick requirement, then it does apply from day one. And the whole amount is refundable by HMRC. And HMRC have actually said that they will make repayments so that the refunds will come through. Like everything else, they have confirmed that the repayments will happen and the money will happen, but they haven't actually confirmed how that's going to happen yet, because obviously they don't know all your bank details. So they have confirmed it will happen, but they're not really sure when it will happen.
So Jenny's just asked a question. Someone who's a limited company but is only one person, so there's no other employees, do they count on that SSP as well?
Statutory sick pay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're a director, obviously you're entitled to the statutory sick pay as well. And then if you are sick because of COVID or corona, then obviously you have the statutory sick pay. The government have said that they're only going to be refunding the first 2 weeks though. So they are only refunding 14 days of that statutory sick pay.
So furloughing yourself is probably a better option.
Yes, or you could, yes, it depends if you
Depending
have to
on
be.
The salary that you take.
Obviously if you're furloughing yourself, then obviously you're not sick.
Correct.
So therefore it's a different scenario. You can't be furloughing a sick person, they're sick.
And Peter's come back with another question. He asked about dividends. I think we kind of covered that, didn't we?
Yeah, so we're
when we were talking about furloughing and 80% of your pay, we're waiting for confirmation on dividends.
We're waiting for confirmation, because obviously that might be assessed differently through the self-employment and self-assessment situation.
And hopefully that's something we might be able to cover on tomorrow's video once the government have announced anything.
Yeah. Another question there as well is this based on the March salary? No, it's actually based on the February salary. Those that are actually employed, it's based on your February pay. The revenue have said it's those on the payroll as at the 28th of February, and so therefore they're looking potentially at the February pay for full-time employees. However, those that are on 0-hour contracts or on hourly contracts or hourly pay, then obviously their February pay might be very different to previous months, and therefore they are going to be looking at a structure in which it will cover a period of time, and we have to have that confirmation. Now, please,
it's likely to be like it is for other calculations where it's 12 weeks or 3 months.
Yeah, so that's what we're expecting, but obviously holiday pay changes. The holiday pay for hourly and contract people actually changes in April to be looked at the last 52 week situation as opposed to the last 12 weeks. So we're not quite sure what they're going to do on this way, whether they're going to go under because we're straddling 2 tax years, so it's a bit difficult because we're March in one tax year and April in another tax year. Obviously it's March, April, May, as I have said. Now probably if you have furloughed somebody in March, then being tomorrow the last Friday of the month, they might normally get paid. Alternatively, they might get paid next Tuesday, I think it is, or on the 31st of March. So from that point of view, you might be a cash flow problem, because the system in which we have to register furlough employees is actually not out yet. It's not available and it's not ready to be used. So once it is used, then the employer will have to register each person that they want to have furloughed and the amount that it's actually going to be in order to claim that money. So they have said that they expect payments to be received by companies by the end of April. So that does mean that if you have difficulty and cash flows in paying anybody in March, then you might want to look at going to one of the high street banks and getting a loan that's being backed by 80% is being backed by the government, and the first 12 months is interest free. It might just tie you over as a cash flow issue for the next 12 months or the next time.
Yeah, there's about 40 banks that are taking part in this government loan scheme with the coronavirus backing. So do check them out. All the high street banks are included. But do beware, some of the banks are asking for personal guarantees from the directors, and that's a bit of a game changer, because if they do come after the directors for the guarantee, the 80% backing is only on whatever's uncollected from the director once you've been made bankrupt. So look to the banks that are not asking for a personal guarantee, and some of them are not asking. So shop around. I know I don't want to name certain high street banks, but I know which ones are and which ones are not. So we can give you a steer if you speak to us privately on that one.
Yeah. There's a couple of other things. It has been confirmed that estate agents, letting agents and bingo halls will all be exempt from business rates for 2020-2021. So lots of those people will have already received rates bills. They will be redone and reissued, so therefore any rates bills that have been issued, new ones will come out. So they are for estate agents, letting agents and bingo halls. The revenue didn't actually state in there whether it has to be a rateable value below, above or anything else. They have just said it's estate agents, letting agents and bingo halls. So for our understanding, that is all of those entities. So that is quite a good thing for those ones.
Okay, so we've got a question in from Shirley. She says, my understanding was that if you're a limited company and furlough yourself, that you are not allowed to work at all, therefore cannot check emails or anything, and this could be audited. So not really possible, as you would miss out on work. Is this possible, or will you be treated as self-employed?
Well, you are correct in that if you furlough somebody, you are not allowed to do any work at all for that company, basically. So you can't ask some of your employees to say go on 1 week in, 1 week out, 1 week in, 1 week out. They can't work.
If your employees go and get themselves another job, say stacking shelves at supermarkets, they lose that entitlement as well.
Okay, so basically the furloughing is to supplement an income that's not coming in. With regards to the directors, obviously if you've had to shut your business completely, then there's not a lot you are going to be doing. You might have somebody that does your external work for you or stuff like that, and therefore you would be able to do that.
It'd be interesting because the director may have furloughed themselves, but they then go and need to file the furloughing information with HMRC and pay themselves their salary. So it's almost impossible to not work without when you're furloughed. So unless you outsource that, or would they exempt that? I don't know. We'd have to check the detail on that one.
Yeah, no, I'm not really sure on that, because it'd have to be a bit more specific on how they're actually going to be implementing that one for companies that are literally closing their doors.
Okay. Another question is from Jackie. So she's talking about VAT. So we did cover the VAT yesterday, but we can go over that again. And she's asking whether you'd still need to file your VAT returns, even though the current quarter you don't have to pay them.
Yeah, VAT returns still have to be filed on time. All VAT returns filing date does not change. The filing date remains exactly the same. So if you have a VAT return that's quarterly ended on the 29th of February, then you would have to file the VAT return by the 7th of April. So
is that another reason directors can't furlough themselves?
Well, no, because you might not file your VAT return.
Okay.
In that situation, yes, Jackie, you do need to file the VAT return. The payment doesn't have to be made. The payment can be postponed until a later date. Just a note on that, really, that the VAT amount is actually still physically payable. So even though you might think to yourself, okay, I don't need to actually make that VAT payment, the payment still has to be made. So from a financial point of view, all you're doing is borrowing money and you're taking out a loan. The money still has to be paid. The VAT is still payable. So from that point of view, you just got to remember that it's not, they're not given to you. It is actually, you do have to make that payment. So just be aware of that, you making that payment. So, but the VAT return does still need to be filed, yes. Another thing that they're basically doing is that, obviously, with coronavirus, the virus itself attaches itself to items, and one of them, I suppose, is money. And so the way their revenue has sold this is that basically from the 1st of April 2020, the contactless limit is going up. So at the moment, on your cards, your contactless limit is £30. And this is going to be going up to £45.
That's 1st of April, isn't it?
1st of April 2020, yeah. So from the 1st of April 2020, your contactless limit is going up to £45 from the £40.
Personally, as someone who hardly ever uses cash and is always using contactless, that's great for me. So,
yeah, it's another... And basically, they're just trying to disencourage people from using cash, I suppose, really.
Okay,
I think that's all of my bit. So if anybody else has any questions...
It's similar to what we've just been talking about. I think they've joined slightly late. If I'm an employee of my own limited company and just lost all my projects due to the virus and cannot do anything at the moment, should I be looking at the government help packages for 1, employees, or 2, self-employed, or both? Thank you very much.
At the moment, we haven't had confirmation whether the directors who are on possibly low salaries, which is most tax situations, are going to be treated as
where you're director shareholders with dividends.
Yeah, so we're not sure whether you're going to be actually directors or whether you're going to be employees or self-employed in that stage. I wouldn't have thought you'd be self-employed because obviously you're not paying class 2 national insurance stamps and therefore you're not a self-employed person. However, whether they're going to just give you the furloughed amount of 80% of your salary, we're not very sure yet. Yeah. So we're still waiting for confirmation because they like the hourly contracts and those on shift work, they still haven't confirmed those situations, and there's a lot to do. The job retention
scheme was only announced on Friday, and it's we're still waiting for all the detail. And what we're hearing about the self-employed announcement, which may be today, is that it's also going to cover freelancers, and freelancers quite often are one-man band limited companies with salary and dividends. So the freelancer rules may apply to directors as well. So watch this space. It's not finalised yet.
But I mean, as soon as we know something like that, then obviously it's one of the first things that we'll say, because I think it's one of the biggest questions that keeps coming back and forth.
So Jenny's come back again. So her accountant does her husband's limited company payroll. So if the husband furloughs himself, presumably the accountant can do the furloughing paperwork. Well, we would hope so.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're intending to do our clients' paperwork as well. We're intending to do our clients' furloughing recording as well. So it's a new portal that is currently being set up by the government. It doesn't actually exist, so they are having to write it all completely from scratch. And yeah,
I mean, all of our staff, we're in a lucky position that we got our home working sorted out before the lockdown, so all our staff are working from home.
So yeah, I assume most of you are all working from home as well. Has anybody else got any other questions? There's nothing else that's new. Yesterday's video, if you didn't see yesterday's video, we covered quite a few topics that have already been announced. So rather than going through everything every day, the videos are available to watch on our Facebook page as well. And also they are uploaded onto our YouTube channel. So you can go to YouTube, search for Champ Consultants, and you will find our videos there as well. This one will be on there as well. Matthew and I intend to do one of these talks every Tuesday.
Every weekday.
Every weekday. We're going to give ourselves a weekend off. Every weekday at 2:00 as a Facebook Live. As soon as we know things, then we will be putting them up there. If you've got any questions that you want us to answer, you might not want to put them in the chat or whatever you want to do. We're very happy to accept messages, so you can message us with some questions and we will cover them as well.
We are very hopeful that tomorrow's episode, if you like, may have some news for the self-employed people. We're watching the government communications closely. We've had a steer from our accountancy bodies of what's likely to be announced. So we're just waiting for that announcement, and hopefully we'll have some news for you tomorrow.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get something in there as well. Right, so I just want to finish off by saying, please, I'm sure many of you have seen on all your social media channels that at 8 o'clock tonight, we are clapping for the NHS. So please, 8 o'clock tonight, make sure you're outside your front doors, opening windows, whatever you want to do, and clap to show our appreciation.
Although our NHS workers would also be very happy if you stop going out in your cars and just isolate yourselves.
Enjoy working from home.
Yes.
It's not bad. That's it from Matthew and I. Hopefully you found it useful, and we'll see you again.
And
Same place tomorrow.
If you know any other local businesses that would like the advice, tell them that we'll be here again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Get them all to watch, because hopefully there'll be a big announcement about the self-employed, which we can talk about tomorrow.
Fingers crossed. Let's all hope so.
Exactly.
It's about time to come. Right, so thank you. That's it from Matthew and I. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for joining in.
Same place. And remember to clap at 8 o'clock.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.